What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we've got episode 2 of season 2 of The Last of Us, Through the Valley. And we got a bunch of news from Star Wars Celebration. But before we get into all of that fun, Dave, how's it going, good sir?
Well, Keith is going fan freaking tastic. I gotta tell you, I'm more excited about the Star Wars news than I am about this show. It's just
So you didn't watch
not.
this episode?
Oh, I watched it. Yeah, it's just it's not for me. I don't think. I
And,
guess we'll
and
get into that in a minute.
yeah, that's fine.
Not every show's for me, and that's fine. I remember how much you loved the Laura Croft movie that we saw. So, not everything's for everybody. So we'll get into it. I feel bad for Pedro. I don't know if he's going to do anything, but I'm getting ahead of myself. How are you doing, Keith?
I am tremendous, sir. And for those of you wondering, yes, there will be spoilers tonight. But yeah, doing good. Happy to be here. Always happy. Doug is actually doing an all YouTube flight into space today with Blue Origin. So we wish him luck. Hopefully he gets down safely, kisses the ground, and doesn't get any dirty looks from the astronauts who were stuck up there for 10 months. We don't want any of that. We just want Doug to be
Can
home
we
safe.
call him an astronaut when he comes back? Can we call him an astronaut?
I think we have
I don't.
to. He went to space, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that
That's
how it works?
I don't know. I guess that's how it works. I know some people were upset. That's all I know.
Few people, yeah, were a little less than enthusiastic of the mission. Because you can send, 3 famous people into space. You could probably do a lot of good for people on the planet also. But hey, you know, let's not get
Right.
into that tonight. Let's talk The Last of Us. Like I said, season 2, episode 2, Through the Valley. A lot happened on tonight's episode. This, to me, almost felt like a season finale, as opposed of the second episode of a season. But starts out, we see Abby stuck in a dream, kind of talking to herself, telling herself not to go into the operating room where her father was killed by Joel. She doesn't listen, of course, because you always think you know best in the moment. So she wakes up and she is still, we're killing Joel. This is my mission. I will not rest. She basically is on a revenge mission, and nothing is going to sate her until she kills Joel.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, and the fact that I don't want to jump ahead. I feel like I should always wait for the synopsis so I can say all my thoughts at the right time. I don't want to jump ahead in the story here, but yeah, she's definitely focused on killing him. Let's say that. Nothing else matters, as we'll find out in a few moments.
and we even see them looking at Jackson and how fortified it is, and they're like,
Bam.
I don't know what we're going to do. And of course, Owen's like, I have the formulating of a plan. And Abby ends up going outside to stand watch, to kind of watch the town. And they're like, do you really have a plan? Yeah, it's to talk her into going back to Seattle and giving this up, which, I mean, seemed like the most
Reason.
logical choice at this time, because even I was like, how are they going to find Joel? What's going to happen? But then, of course, we know that Ellie gets woken up by Jesse saying, hey, it's time for patrol. It's snowing. It's bad out. A storm is coming into town, both literally and figuratively. And she's like, I just want to go with Joel. And he's teasing her about, the New Year's Eve stuff that happened before about, him and Dina and what happened. And she's like, I want to ride with Joel. And he's like, he already left with Dina. And right at that point, I was kind of like, okay, I think I see how things are going to shake out here. I didn't see it all, but I was like, he's going to find them at the cabin and kind of go from there. It didn't really happen that way, but I knew it was going to happen. And then Abby ends up seeing him out on patrol while this weather thing is coming down. And we see Ellie and Jesse end up at Eugene's secret lair out in the town, which is a 7-Eleven, which is like a pot store.
Yeah.
Ellie's talking about taking that mask with the bong on it, and she's like, "How'd you know this?" Well, he showed me on a tour, and I was sworn to secrecy. I wouldn't tell anybody either. You guys going out on
Yeah.
patrol? Yeah, yeah. We might have to do a couple nights. Just,
Yeah. Might take a while this time. You don't know.
of course, it's not like they frown upon smoking inside Jackson. So I guess you could just go collect some, and that's where his, therapist wife probably got all the good stuff from. So hopefully they take some back for her. But, you know, we find, they're kind of relaxing. We find out Tommy is trying to find out where Joel is. They can't communicate with him. And they end up, or Abby ends up, trying to creep up on him, falling down a hill, then ends up on what they kind of talked about earlier, that these infected are kind of just creeping under the snow, just waiting for someone to come by, kind of like lay a trap. And as she kind of crosses them, the what?
What are we calling them? Are we calling them mushroom heads? What are we calling these?
Mushroom heads, infected, whatever we want to. The big guy's, I think, called a boomer. Wait, is it a boomer? No, it's not a boomer.
No, it was something like
bloater.
that.
Bloater.
Bloater, yes. Mm-hmm.
But, we find out, she falls down, she's being chased, and lo and behold, who saves her? Joel. She kind of gets into that little area, and that was like a great scene where they're pushing on the fence, and she's like trying to crawl under, and they're just doing anything to get at her. And eventually she kind of gets through, and Joel saves her, and starts taking out some of the infected, some of the mushroom heads, runs in where Dina is, and they're like, we got to go, we got to take off. And, they're taking off, and it's like, we're going to die. We're either going to die in here or die out there. And she's, of course, no, we got a cabin close. So I got, other people there. We can get ammo and guns, and we can go help Jackson, because at this point, Jackson's already burning, because they're throwing barrels down at the infected and throwing fire into it to ignite it. It's just, an absolutely crazy. And I kind of
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was all part of their plan, though. So at least but on the outside, they didn't know that.
And I thought it was kind of well done. I didn't catch it at first. I kind of thought about it later, because they were chasing them, and all of a sudden they turned off, and I was kind of like, wait, why did they turn off? But it was because they found the tendrils inside that pipe, and it was kind of peeking out. It like hive mind. Hey, we've got a whole town of a bunch of people here. So they turned away from Joel, Dina, and Abby, and kind of went full force at the town. And of course, Jackson, very well fortified, but even they, the wall got breached, all hell broke loose. Tommy ended up saving his wife by pulling that bloater to him, or as they say in video games, aggroing the bloater, and ended up using the flamethrower to kind of take him out. And I mean, it was just, to me, this episode was crazy, all that was going on. I liked the way they handled like the infected moving away from them, because the tendrils were inside that pipe were released, and they got kind of access. Hey, we got more than 3 people in here. We can, attack this city. Mm-hmm. And with Ellie and, Jesse away but still out, so when they got the call, hey, Joel and them are not reporting in. And of course they have the plan, hey, I'll take the northeast, you take the northwest trail. We'll kind of figure it out, stay in contact. And while all that is going on, they enter the cabin. Joel and Dina enter that with Abby and her friends. And man, when they walked in, I was like, this is not going to end well. And of course, poor Dina gets put out with whatever drugs it was, but they're kind of like, it's okay, this is just going to put you to sleep. It's not going to hurt you or anything. But it's not very comforting when they're about to kill Joel, who she had that, nice little conversation with in the first episode, where he's talking about circuit breakers and how to know if, the wires are bad or what needs to be replaced. A lot of the times it's just springs and that. And it felt like they were kind of bonding and talking about why Ellie was so mad at him. And then, for this to happen, because, all that was going on, Joel felt horrible that Jackson was being attacked while he was there. Dina probably feels absolutely helpless. I didn't mean to say that, but while that's going on, and then of course Ellie shows up. Just so happens the path she took is the one with the lodge, and she ends up seeing Joel and Dina's horses and ends up going in there. And by the time she shows up, Abby had shot him in the leg, applied a tourniquet, started beating him on the leg with the golf club, and then was just completely brutalizing him with punches and kicks and golf club hits. She ended up breaking the golf club on him. And by the time Ellie comes in, they kind of subdue her. And she's just, being held down. She's like, get up, Joel. Get up, Joel. And I don't think anyone thought Joel was going to survive that. And he did. Abby came through with her revenge plan and ended up, sticking the half of the golf club, like, into his neck, killing him. And I was like, I really thought they played that scene well with all of the emotions between Abby, Joel, even though his face was completely, covered with bruises and bloody. We know he can act well with a helmet on. And just seeing him, like, even just kind of, like raising up a little bit when she's like, get up, Joel. He's trying to, but, I mean, he's too far gone at that point. And he's dead. And Abby and her friends just leave. And
mission accomplished.
Yeah. And Ellie's promising to kill Abby, like, I'm going to get her. And, they basically come back. Jackson is almost completely destroyed. They've got a lot of rebuilding there. And then they've got to explain that Joel was killed, and she was there to witness it. I mean, all of that, she would have probably been in a much better place if at the end of last episode, instead of just, getting eye contact and not saying anything and going into the garage without talking and mending any fences, she left it at that. So last time she saw her surrogate dad, basically, she just kind of made eye contact and walked away from him. I was like, they did a good job of, I don't want to say making it worse for her, but really, showing, hey, you don't hold grudges like that, especially against family. You never know what's going to happen. She's going to, be on her own revenge streak now, because she's going to have that same, I'm assuming, I should, just because she said it, she's going to have that same revenge that Abby had towards Joel. She's not going to rest until she finds Abby and does to her what, hopefully Abby doesn't have any kids by that point. Because then, that kid will swear revenge on Ellie, and then Ellie, no, forget it.
Yeah, just have the whole family going for years and years.
This is the start of the Hatfields and McCoys.
That's right. The Lannisters and the Starks, man, I tell you. Just forever. Well, not anymore. The Lannisters are pretty much gone. But anyway. Yeah. She did say at the beginning of the show, Ellie did, like, hey, it doesn't matter how we are right now. We're always going to be Joel and Ellie. He's always going to be, that to me. He's always going to be family to me. So, whether we're fighting right now or not, we're always going to be family. And then when that happened, it didn't lessen the blow, But at the same time, when all that happened, I'm sorry, I do not bond with this character. I don't find anything in Ellie.
Oh, Ellie, okay.
Ellie. I don't find anything in Ellie that I root for. I just think she's a little brat who nothing she does is just, she's always given attitude to somebody for something, and it drives me nuts. I know they're trying to make it like, oh, she's a teenager and she's been through this and been through that. But, I've seen other dystopian stuff, and I was able to get behind the character. Can't do it with this one. She's just annoying to me.
Do you think at this point the events that happened are going to make her better or worse? Do you think she's going to get more of a Joel attitude and be helpful, or do you think she's going to buckle down on her attitude?
The second one. I think her attitude's going to get worse. She's going to feel like she knows more than everyone. and because she's been through, and because of what she's been through, and I just it's not the way to go for me. I'm a little surprised. I mean, I knew sometime this season that Joel was going to die because people ruined it for me everywhere. It's like he dies in the second video game, and I'm like, oh great, thanks for ruining it for me. But I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. That's why I feel sorry for Pedro. Is he going to be in the rest of the season as some kind of flashback, or is he just out?
I'm sure he'll
Gone.
be in some flashbacks, but you shouldn't feel sorry for Pedro. Let's see, he's filmed the Mandalorian and Grogu. He filmed the Fantastic Four. He's got
Yeah,
Doomsday and Secret Wars coming. He's probably got more Star Wars stuff down the line. I think he's going to be all right. But I am
yeah,
sad to
you're
see
right.
him go because, we stand Pedro Pascal here at Not Your Status Quo. And he was the part that I enjoyed best about The Last of Us, his character. So, how's it going to be after this? Am I going to. Because I thought this episode was fantastic. I know you disagree, but I thought it
Mhm.
was entertaining. I thought it was well thought out. I liked the way things fell into place, even though there was kind of like, oh, wow, Joel just happens to be on patrol to get him. But I get past all that. Stuff like that doesn't bother me because they need to tell a
Uh-huh.
story, you know.
Right.
But I thought everything falling into place was great. I loved the fight scenes. I loved all the infected mushroom heads. They really did a good job on a lot of that makeup. Everyone looked a little different. It looked like they were frozen a little bit. It was very cool. And I just liked the battle plan that they had. They talked about it. Hey, if you hear a bell, this is this. And we saw it come to action. They had all those gas barrels to try to, start fires to burn the infected, and shotguns and flamethrowers and pistols. They just had tons of weapons. I was thinking this, while I was watching it, I'm like, they have a ton of ammo. But if they keep getting attacked like this, or keep having attacks and
Well,
patrols, eventually they're going to run out of ammo. What do you do then?
right.
I'm like, oh, that's probably another game down the line. But it was just cool. And then, seeing, for me, that final scene with Abby, Joel, Ellie, and the rest of those Seattle militia, whatever you want to call them, with Dina, too, while she was unconscious, I thought was just incredibly well done. Got me in the feels, man. I was like, oh, my God. They both, even though she said, hey, we're good, no matter if we're fighting now or whatever, we're always going to be Joel and Ellie. She's never going to forget that last time she saw him. She just walked past him and didn't say anything. And of course, Joel is dying, probably thinking she's going to die now too, because he has no idea what they're going to do. He has no idea they're going to let him
Right.
go. And he just probably feels terrible about all the things he did. Because I do think when we do find out what that rift was between them, it's going to have a lot to do with I almost said Sault Ste. Marie. God, I'm a Michigan. Salt Lake City.
That,
And
uh-huh.
what happened there. She's going to know. She's going to find out. They're going to argue about it. And he probably feels terrible. He never came clean with all of that and why he did it. She was more important to him than finding some cure. I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a bleak world. Even if you find a cure, there's still hundreds of thousands of those things. They don't care if they
Yeah.
bite you if you don't turn into one of them. They're still probably going to kill you.
Yeah,
So
I didn't have a problem with him stopping them at all. I thought that was well within his character, and then that he should have done that because let's say they kill her and they, get the cure or what they think is the cure, and it doesn't pan out. Then they don't have her anymore. So I think that was definitely a good move on his part. But that's from last season. It's an overall thing with the show, though. He made the right move, and like I was surprised. I was also surprised that I thought they were going to take a little more time with his death. You know what I mean? It was like she started beating him one scene, and then the next scene when Ellie comes in, he's already like pretty much beaten down. I thought they might drag that out a little bit and have a little more conversation. He might understand, like, oh, you're the doctor's daughter.
well, she told him that. He knew who she was. He figured it out.
Well, yeah, he said, and yeah, do what you got to do or whatever.
Yeah, stop with
And
the questions. Just do it. He knew who she was
yeah,
because she said, you walked in and you killed that doctor, didn't even look at him, and then just walked right past him. All the nurses told me.
Oh,
She's
that's
like,
right. Yeah.
I'm his daughter. So he knew. And I mean, he almost seems like the type of guy, like he understands her revenge and why she wants it. He didn't want to linger there. He obviously didn't want to be suffer and have it a slow death, but I think, he kind of understood, like, yeah, you know what? I killed your dad for my daughter, and I completely understand you coming and wanting revenge against me for killing your dad, because I would do anything to save my loved ones. And obviously yours is gone, so I get it. It's not something that I don't understand, so just do it. Enough with the talking. I don't need your monologuing. Just kill me.
Did you think that so then you thought he definitely thought she was going to kill him after that. Do you think, you would have thought he might have bought some bonus points by saving her out where he saved her. But it didn't grant him, like, once he got back there, it didn't grant him 1 minute of reprieve or whatever. They just went right to it. This is blah blah, and this is Joel, and they all went, "Oh, time to kill him."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not one moment. She didn't say, like, "He saved me out there. I was about to get killed, and he saved my ass." Nope. She was just like, "All right, he's got to go." And it's just like the Kingpin did. I thought the
Yeah.
Kingpin would have a little thing with Matt Murdock for saving him, but no, he was just like, kill him. So I don't know, that kind of thing is like weird to me, because the villains lately in these shows have been like more like a little bit down to earth. Like when somebody does something for them, they're like, all right, I'll give you this. I'll give you another few more days or something. I'll do something for you for saving my life. And in just these last two instances, they don't care.
See, I think with Abby, she was so hyper focused and consumed with this revenge. She thought it was just, karma that he saved her, and she was able to get him back to that thing, because I think deep down she knew without some luck they were not going to get into Jackson and be able to kill Joel. So this falling in her lap was like, this is karma for me. This is me. This is the universe paying me back and giving me Joel. So she didn't feel like she owed him anything for saving her. That was all part of the plan.
Well, and I did like that there was a lot more action. I love the action. But everything that happened around the action was a little bit like I told you, with Ellie saying, I'm gonna kill you, and they just leave her alone because they don't view her as a threat. Just all right, we did what we did. We're getting out of here, going back to Seattle. And I don't. I forgot where I was going. My ADHD took over right there.
Well, you were talking about them just leaving Ellie and she's not a threat or anything. And, that was part
Yeah,
of their plan, too. They said, we kill Joel, we don't hurt anybody else. And even they were kind of taken aback when she was like, we'll jump a patrol and we'll say, you tell us where this guy is or what's going on. And they were like, we weren't going to hurt anybody else.
right.
So they were all fine with killing Joel. And yeah, you're right. They just, even though Ellie's like, I'll kill you all. And the one guy probably wanted to put another boot in her face after she cut him. But they were
Yeah,
just, okay, we did our mission. Let's get out of here.
yeah. I'm out.
Collect our
See you
gear,
later.
and it's a snowstorm. It's crazy, but we're heading back to Seattle now.
And well, how the bloater died, I was a little bit like I don't know how I felt about that, because when the bloater chased him down to the corner and he was like, "Oh crap, I got nowhere to go," so he comes back out and he sets him on fire. Awesome. And then the fire goes out, and then he does it again and runs out of fuel. I'm thinking, all right, yeah, he's gonna die too, which would be okay. That'd be okay. That would fit right in the story. But then why did it just die? I mean, I don't get that.
I think I
That's
think he burned its brain out because it still has the brain inside the head, and you saw when
uh,
it fell that the head was completely burnt, and you could see like inside of it. So I think it just killed it by burning its brain. But I'm I agree with you on that a little bit. It almost seemed like we needed a little more of him just blasting it full throttle with that. flamethrower to see it go down like that, because it seemed, I was the same as you. I'm like, okay, he's out. That thing is still moving forward. He's dead. But and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, me no have brain collapse.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Right.
okay.
Anticlimactic. At least he could have punched it or something.
I thought for sure his wife was going to come from the other side and just start pumping it full of rounds. I didn't think the flamethrower would kill it like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought she was going to come around the corner and kill it. And that would have still, to me, that would have even been better than what we saw there, because it was very, like I said, anticlimactic. It was just like, I've got you now. It's like, okay, okay, good enough.
That was just the right amount of fire that was needed to kill me. Goodbye.
Right. That's all measure that. Yeah. But, with all the chasing from the mushroom heads, that was pretty cool. That reminded me of World War Z, when the zombies were a lot quicker than they have are traditionally, and I know they were last season too, but yeah, it just reminded us that they're not slow moving. They will, they'll find you. And when they opened up the pipe, like you said, that just took them away. And that whole in town thing where they're on the second floor or in the basement, that's brilliant. That was good.
And the barrels, having the things like to roll the barrels out into the crowd and, shooting them to get all the gasoline to come out to set them on fire. I was like, all right, that's pretty, they thought about this. They're not just, having New Year's Eve every night, getting drunk and, dancing.
Right.
They've got plans. They kind of know what to do. But, I mean, they are in trouble because, I don't know how fast they can refortify those walls. Jackson is devastated right now. And, of course, when they found out Joel is dead, Ellie is probably going to be Ellie, and instead of staying there to, like, Joel would probably be like, don't worry about the person that killed me. You help Jackson. You fix Jackson. You work. You do this. But she's going to run off and go after Abby.
Yep.
And that is not what Joel would want, but it fits Ellie's character, too. She is very headstrong and stubborn, and she's not going to, much like Abby, she's not going to give up until she has a run-in with Abby. And I hope that we get to see both of their points of view for the rest of the season. Like, we see what's going on with Elle and we see what's going on with Abby, because Abby and her team have a long way to go to get to Seattle. It's not just going to be, oh, okay, we're home, and then Ellie's knocking on the door. They're gonna have troubles, trials and tribulations, going back, running into infected, maybe finding other crazy stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens now. This was such an emotional episode, and so was the first one. First one you had talked about how a lot of it had to do with the disconnect between those two and all of that. It's almost like killing off Joel now. They're going to focus on just two characters. Jackson's going to be as cool as I thought Jackson was such a cool spot. They could have done a lot with it, and they kind of did. Mm-hmm. But it's going to probably focus now to small groups. It's going to be probably Ellie, Dina, and maybe Jesse, and then Abby and her team. They're going to try to track them, and they're making it back to Seattle, and we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to it. But I am disappointed that Pedro's gone because he's so great.
Yeah, he is. If they're gonna have to spend a little time developing these characters. They don't have to. They can still develop Ellie, and if she develops past her wild phase, I might start liking it a little better, because right now she's just a loose cannon, or where, like, I don't know if that's I was gonna say loaded gun, but she's a loose cannon. She always has been, that we've seen so far. If this helps her to do something else and add some depth to the character, okay, I can go for that. Abby, we barely know. We just know what her focus was. And you know what they always say? Like, when you reach your goal of getting your revenge, how does it feel? It's not complete. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna fix it.
Doesn't bring her dad back. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they develop that plot line, and maybe they have an encounter where Ellie's chasing her, I'm already doing a what's next, and they're chasing her, and they catch up, and they somehow get stranded to the point where they can't hurt each other, but they can talk to each other, and develop the plot and the characters a little bit that way. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, I do think Ellie's going to mature a little bit, and she's going to realize that as much as this revenge is going on, her disobeying orders and being that loose cannon, like you said, didn't help anything out. And staying mad at Joel, all that did was have him die without them saying goodbye, basically. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I think they will mature her a bit, because obviously if she's out on the road by herself without Joel, even with Dina and Jesse, depending on if those two go or anyone else goes, it's not the same as having Joel. Joel was like, he knew everything, and
He's in
perfect protector mode. We've seen him protect Grogu and Ellie, and soon Franklin Richards. So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Like we've said before, we haven't played the games. We all heard as soon as season 2 was announced, people were putting golf clubs up, and I'm like, and they're talking, oh, this will be Pedro's last season. I'm like, okay, Joel dies and someone hits him with a golf club or something. Sweet.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for that.
I don't know why people feel so compelled. I know something. I'm going to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, that's a sad state. You gotta get there first, as far as like the reviewers. And that kind of sucks. If you do mind spoilers, that does kind of suck.
It didn't ruin the scene for me, though. Knowing it was coming, I still think, because of how they handled it and how great the performances were during it, like you could see how uncomfortable the rest of her team were at times while this was going on. I thought they did a good job portraying that, and Pedro being on his last breath and Ellie coming in. I thought it all played out well. I thought they did a great job how they handled it. Having Jackson being destroyed while this is going on is only going to add more guilt to Ellie. Like, I wasn't there to help. I should have been. And I couldn't save Joel. I couldn't save Jackson. Everything's going to be weighing down on her. But I do think it makes sense. How much more stories can they have with her holed up in Jackson Hole? She has to leave on her revenge quest.
And Jackson's got to be done for because of the tendrils in the pipe. That they know they're there, whether whatever happened just now or not. The mushrooms or whatever, they know that hive mind knows that they're there, so they got to move no matter what.
Yeah, they don't have time to rebuild and get another plan. They blew their load, as some people would say, fighting this here. So yeah, you're right. They have to move. They can't stay in Jackson. And it was such a, as they mentioned many times early, it's so well fortified. The security is, we're not going to get in there without, a plan, and we need a great plan. And now it's all to crap. Where are they going to go? They all going to travel to Seattle? Or is there somewhere else that the people are going to go? And, Ellie's going to head to Seattle, because we know we saw it. I don't know if you saw the scenes for next week.
I didn't.
Dina had kind of figured out where they were from by the patch on the one girl's thing. She's like, they're from Seattle. So they're probably going to take off that way and try to track her. And then everyone in Jackson's probably going to do something else.
Yeah.
Find another settlement. The what?
That's Wyoming where
Yes.
they're at.
Yep.
So that's a good few states from Seattle. So I don't think, you're right. I don't think that the whole commune is going to follow Ellie. And then she's just not going to stay for them either. Without Joel there, she's not going to care.
Yeah, she has nothing to stay there for.
Yeah. So then it's going to be separated. I don't think those people are off the show. I think they're going to play out later. You can't just drop them. I forget his name, Joel's brother.
Tommy,
but you can't just drop Tommy. I think Tommy's going to have a bigger role to play down the line. Him and his wife. That's his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
him and his wife are gonna have a bigger role to play out. Maybe not immediately, but they're not just gonna drop that storyline.
No, they won't. It'll be good. They may, who knows, maybe they'll start traveling west. And Ellie will stick with them, and then when we get to another settlement or whatever, that's when she takes off. You know, okay, these people are safe now. I can continue my revenge plan against, I'll get you, Abby.
Well, they'll have the three of them at least, and will that be enough? I don't know. What do you think?
As we all know, it's revenge. Even after, if she catches up to Abby and kill her, or they become friends, she's not going to be at peace. She's still, you know, they live in a dystopian, zombie-infested, you know, wasteland. And the only thing she's got going for her is she can't be infected.
Yeah.
But everyone else around her could. You know, she's lost a lot of people, just like Joel had. So it's not like it's happy fun time. And if she thinks killing Abby is going to bring any joy into her life, she's fooling herself.
And I can see that being a conversation that her and Abby have. Like Abby says, "Listen, I was obsessed with killing Joel after he killed my father, and then once I was done with it and I left you there, it didn't bring me peace.
Yeah. It did nothing. I'm still miserable. I still live in this world with constant threat of, you know, the infected and everything else. And maybe she'll be able to talk to her and stop her, and that's where it ends. I don't know where the game ends after season 2, or part 2, I should say. But we do know that we're getting a third season of The Last of Us on HBO. Once again, I wonder how the ratings will do when Joel's out.
Yeah.
Because I did see a trending a little bit on Twitter with Joel's out, I'm out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, oh. But I think people tune in.
I thought it would last the season. I would, since they were separating the game into part 2 into 2 seasons, I thought, all right, that's going to be the cliffhanger for season 1. He's going to die. I mean, kudos to them for doing something I didn't see coming that early, but we knew it was coming.
Yeah, right. Once the episode started, I was like, okay, Joel's getting it. I actually, when it started, I'm like, he's getting it sooner than I thought. And then when he showed up at the thing, I'm like, damn, he's dead today.
That was quick. That did not see that coming that soon. But we knew it was coming.
Yes, thanks to all the spoilers out there. Well, should we rate this episode, sir?
Yes, we should. I can start. Like I said, I did like the new action. I did like the action that they added to this episode as opposed to last episode where it was mostly non-action. But some of the things I think I went over I didn't like. Like the flamethrower scene. I thought that ended, like I said, it was anticlimactic. I thought a few of the things were just like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, and it's my review, so I'll say it.
Yeah.
I thought that it would provide a little reprieve, at least temporarily, that he is out there saving lives, and that's what he's trying to do, and maybe that Abby would see that he is trying to save lives, and he did what he thought he needed to do to save lives, with her dad. I didn't think that she would drop it, but I thought that they would at least have a conversation about it or something. But, at the same time, she was kind of having the conversation, and he just told her to shut up. Because that wasn't going to go anywhere. He knew what it was going to do. But, I don't know. It's hard for me to get behind any of the characters that are left. The newer ones, I don't really know enough about to get excited about seeing their character. And Ellie's just been annoying to me the entire time. I've never liked this character. I hope she develops into something that I do like, because if you look at, let's go back to Game of Thrones again. Jaime Lannister, first season and a half, hated the guy, and Sierra, who I don't know if she's watching now, said, just stick with it. You're going to love Jaime by the end of it. And I did. At the end of it, I thought Jaime was one of my favorite characters. That could happen here. I don't know. I don't know if the writers are going the same way. I don't know if the writers are good enough to bring it back around like that. But overall, I feel like a lot of this show, I don't know even know how to describe it. It's just not working for me. It's just I feel like some of it, I feel it's like it's contrived. I don't feel like it's the best acting, but then I think about it and I'm like, is that the acting or the writing or the direction? I don't know, because if it's more than one actor, then it's got to be something else. I think if it's one actor that's not doing a good job, then we'll notice it. But if I feel like there's a collective few actors, then it's got to be the director. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it exactly. I don't like it as much as I really want to like it, like you guys. I want it to be something, but I can't wait for our next show. I can't wait for Andor to start, and that's tomorrow night. So hallelujah.
Yeah, we get 3 episodes
But
tomorrow.
yeah, oh my God, I can't wait. But for this episode, I gave the first episode a 3.5. This was definitely a better episode, but I don't think I would ever watch it again. So I'm gonna give it a 4.9. Not quite a 5, a 4.9.
Almost average. Nice. See, I saw this completely different than you. I thought it was very well done. I liked all the scenes. I like all of the practical effects that were in play. I enjoyed the plot, the way it melded everything together and got things in. A few things were kind of like you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, oh, it just so happens Joel is the one that saves her. But it's a show. It wouldn't be a show if things like that didn't happen. So it's fine. And I thought the scene where he was killed, I thought was tremendously acted by everyone involved. That was a very tough scene to pull off, and I definitely think they did. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what happens next. Along the lines of Ellie chasing after her, Abby going back to the thing. Probably going to be dealing with a lot of her emotions too, and probably her teammates kind of being like, yeah, you kind of lost it there. That guy saved you. And like, if they find out he saved her, they're going to be like, he saved you? He seemed, maybe he wasn't the bad guy that you thought he was. But, I mean, her side of it, yeah, he did kill, 16 fireflies to save his daughter. Mm-hmm. She just sees some guy who murders a bunch of people, not knowing it was to save his daughter, probably. But that's all good. They did this. They killed him in the second episode. Like any show, your mentor has to go so you can blossom. And I hope that's what happens here. I hope we see Ellie blossom and we see kind of that camaraderie we had between Joel and her in that first season when they were traveling to get to Salt Lake City and everywhere else, that we see that with them traveling to Seattle or finding, a new encampment for all of the Jackson residents. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. It could be good, but I thought this episode was fantastic. I enjoyed it. It went by like that for me. I thought they did a great job. It was fast-paced. A lot happened. Everything made sense. Even the little tendrils being released in the city. So all of a sudden that horde shifted. Because when the horde first shifted, I'm like, why did they do that? And I'm like, oh, that's right. They know about the city now. I thought it was great. I am going to give this episode an 8.5. I will definitely watch it again. And I can't wait to see next week's. But of course, like Dave said, that is going to be overshadowed a little bit because we get 3 episodes of Andor tomorrow night. And that is going to be fantastic. Hopefully.
I really want to hear Doug's, Doug being on that plane tonight. I really want to.
It's a rocket. It's not a plane.
Oh, sorry.
Don't undermine what he's doing, Dave. This is a big achievement.
All right. Well, after he's in space for 11 minutes, because that's all those rockets will last out there. I would like to hear because he's the one who suggested the show in the first place because he liked the game so much.
Yeah.
I would really love to hear what he thought. I can't wait, Doug. I can't wait for you to come back, man.
Yep, we're looking forward to hearing what you thought of it because it was good. But now, this weekend wasn't just episode 2 of The Last of Us. It was also Star Wars Celebration Japan. And a lot of stuff was shown and talked about. There was a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. which, it wasn't released, so we didn't watch any leaked copy of it. But from what we heard happened on it, sounds like it was pretty exciting at the beginning. It looks like a couple AT-ATs were out and about. The Mandalorian.
In the snow.
Yeah,
of course,
in the snow. That's the best transport in the snow. And he kind of busts into the underbelly of the AT-AT, and it was like a John Wick scene. It was one cut. I was like, okay, they're definitely looking to do a better job with the action than they did. Not that there was anything wrong with the action with the television show, but they're definitely raising it up here a little bit.
And that got me excited about another announcement that they made was that when Filoni gets back, they're starting to shoot Ahsoka season 2. And he wrote every episode of this coming season. Now that's the exciting part because he's a terrific writer. I don't know if he's directing them all or any of them, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I don't think they've said that.
But like I said, he's a great writer, so I can't wait to see. And I can't wait to see. Oh, I forgot his last name. Rory McCann.
Oh yeah,
New
yeah,
Balin?
New Balin Skull.
Yeah, I can't wait to. They showed his picture next to him. They don't really look alike, but I picture him as the Hound with the burn, and he doesn't have the burn, obviously. So, but anyway, I think he'll do a fantastic job. Can't wait.
Yeah, and then back to the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, we see Sigourney Weaver, and she's just talking messy, very messy, and Grogu's trying to steal her snacks because he's insatiable. He needs to grow.
He's Grogu.
Yeah. And she's kind of talking, you work for us. And he got his Razor Crest back. Did he get his Razor Crest back in the season 3? I thought he still had...
I would have to go back. I didn't think he did.
I thought he still had the Naboo Starfighter.
Yeah.
And he was like flying around a Razor Crest. And I'm like, wait a minute, I was kind of shocked. Not that we saw the trailer because it was only shown... Right. There was no leaked footage that we recorded off of, Twitter or anything and, edited in DaVinci Resolve and shared it with friends. We did not do that. That did not happen.
Now, my question is is the Razor Crest was the name of his ship or was it the name of a style of ship?
See, I always thought it was the name of his ship, but
That's
it could have been the style too. I honestly don't know because I called it the Razor Crest only because it looked like his other ship. It may have just been a new ship, or it could have been a flashback to something that happened. But we'll have to. Not that I really want to watch season 3 again. Season 3 was not the best of the Mandalorian, but he could get it back early in the movie. We don't know, but we do see. We see a bar fight. We see Grogu swimming, and then we saw that they were like on a little mini walker at one point during the AT-AT scene. When they were kind of running around, probably before he breaks into the middle of one, and then you see like a mouse droid that Grogu kind of stops with the Force, and then the wheel kind of floats on past him, and then the final shot is Rada the Hutt as a gladiator, and Grogu snacking on some popcorn, and yeah, I honestly, the Clone Wars movie that played in theaters where they saved Rada the Hutt, I didn't think we would ever see this character again. And Jeremy White from The Bear is playing him. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, it's just his voice.
Yes.
Unless they made his face somehow look like him, which would be kind of hilarious.
Oh, my God, that would be hilarious.
But I don't see anything but good coming from that movie. I can't wait. I hope it doesn't... You know what? I hope it doesn't... wrap up their story. I hope there's some Ahsoka movie that comes after it that feeds into it. But
Dave Filoni was talking at Star Wars Celebration. He said, John and I are working on things that happen next already. He's good. We have a big plan for a bunch of this stuff, and we're switching it up and changing things and just getting all of our plans in place, which includes Ahsoka Season 2, his movie. And he was talking about Ahsoka Season 2, saying it's going to be major battles. And Admiral Akbar is going to be in it, and it's going to be kind of him versus Thrawn tactically and stuff. And I'm like, But wait a minute, Ahsoka's still in the other universe. So is Ahsoka season 2 not going to have Ahsoka in it, or is it going to go back and forth a lot, or is she going to get back, quick?
I would imagine she's gonna have to deal with Balon because they're both in that universe, and then once she does, she'll head back. I mean, that's kind of complicated, but they're the two guys who can handle it.
Yeah.
Favreau and Filoni. So I expect it to make sense. I expect it to be fun. I expect it to be a lot of action, and I expect the plot to move towards something and not just be action. You know what I mean?
No,
It's going to make sense.
yeah, it's going to be good. It's good if they're already planning, things way down the line for this sort of pre-sequel trilogy stuff. I'm excited. They've done nothing but do good things with what they did. I mean, the season finale of Ahsoka wasn't, didn't blow me away, but I enjoyed the season, and I think it's building towards something. Just like I think, all the Mandalorian seasons were building towards something, and they're back on Mandalore. They got the Beast, back out and all that stuff. So a lot of things are going on, and it's going to be interesting. Cannot wait for that. And then we got another trailer for Maul, Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
Which, when I first heard it, I was like, I love the character. Do we need more with him? And then I saw the trailer. And I was like, oh, okay, I need this. Just hearing Sam Witwer doing Maul, I was like,
it's like the Bad Batch. When the Bad Batch came out, we were all like, do we really need it? It looks like we do need this, because that's the first thing I said. I'm like, they kind of told Maul's story through the Clone Wars and Rebels, and they were gonna tell some more through Solo. Anyway,
well, here's my thought. Do you think this is leading up to Solo? This is Maul's story leading up to Solo.
Oh yeah, that would make the most sense.
I would love for them to almost do an Andor type thing where, Maul Shadow Lord gets a couple seasons leading right into Solo, and maybe we get a continuation of the Solo story at some point, because while it wasn't the best Star Wars movie, Solo was still entertaining. And I'd like to see, Gia, what happens post Solo with all those superpowers she got on Earth. Oh, wait a minute. I can't keep track.
That's some investigation.
But I think they got some good stories they could tell. So I'm actually now completely fired up for this, because it'll be all about the criminal underworld and how Maul took it over and got everything together. Cannot wait, man. I was hoping for like a Luke Skywalker animated series or something, but I'm okay with this. They made a good decision.
Yeah. With a guy who's more knowledgeable on Star Wars than Dave Filoni playing.
Well, maybe equal to Dave Filoni. I'm sure Dave knows some things that Sam doesn't do, but them together, I trust. And, we didn't see who was writing and who was the main thing, but I'm assuming Filoni has some small part in this, being the creative, creative control or whatever his
the CCO.
Yeah, creative. But yeah. So
Chief Creative Officer.
There we go. Yes. So cannot wait to see more of that. I mean, cannot wait to see the trailer that we definitely didn't see, and we definitely didn't see what looks to be a young Darth Talon being recruited by Maul. That was the Twilight that he broke out, and Darth Talon was going to be the villain in the sequel series if Lucas still had control. And Maul was going to be alive. He wouldn't have been killed off in Rebels, because obviously that was a Disney thing. But Lucas wanted Maul and Talon to be the villains in the sequel series. And so it looks like they're kind of taking his ideas, and instead of it being, against whoever in the sequel series that he had, which would probably be Luke, Han, and all those guys, it's going to be Maul and Darth Talon taking over the criminal underworld.
They had a sequel series?
They had 2 movies. They never finished it, though.
Oh, yeah. It would make more sense if they could just round that out,
Yeah, why did they only make two? That's not a trilogy. That's a duality or what? What? They usually do trilogies. It's weird.
I felt like it was kind of hanging on there. I was just kind of waiting for the next thing and never came.
Yeah, hopefully when we get episode 9, it's good. But something that won't be episode 9, Star Wars Starfighter, which was the name of a video game back on the original Xbox. But we did find out this takes place 5 years after the sequel trilogy, sequel duality. And Ryan Gosling is set to star. And I'm assuming he's going to be a star pilot. Is that safe to assume? It's called Starfighter?
No, he's going to be an outer space firefighter. And because, water just puts out fire in space. Those are my thoughts. No, but this was supposed to be just a one-off movie too, right? It's not going to link to anything, which kind of sucks because Ryan Gosling would be cool in the Star Wars universe.
Well, saying it's a one-off movie doesn't mean that his character won't show up again. This is just saying it's not a part of the Skywalker saga. It's not a part of Filoni's sort of, Mandoverse, whatever you want to call it. So it's kind of its own thing, but it may, especially if it does well, if it makes $1 billion or something crazy like that, and people want more, we'll get more movies out of it, and then they can probably weave it into something post-sequel trilogy, at least the character. So yeah, I'm excited. The one thing I did see, which we didn't get much of announcements, they were saying Jesse Plemons is up for a role, possibly a villain role. And
that would make sense.
Yeah, he plays an excellent villain. So I hope that's true, and I hope he's lands it. Sean Levy, who's doing it, I mean, I liked his Stranger Things stuff. I loved Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought he handled that well. He seems to do a good job. And the fact that they are fast-tracking this movie to come out in 2027, hopefully that means it's a good script. They got things down. Budget's not going to be crazy. And we're going to get a quality Star Wars movie in 2027. Sounds like we're getting one in 2026 with The Mandalorian and Grogu, at least with what we saw. So hopefully this is a comeback for Lucasfilm, and they'll start having more hits than misses from here on out.
As long as Kathleen Kennedy doesn't dip her fingers in it, just lets the story be what it is. The little of that as possible, I would say, because that's what ruined. I mean, I don't think Solo was personally. I still liked it. I don't think it was ruined, but a lot of her meddling is what tore that movie apart a little bit.
Yeah, the fact that the directors left mid-filming and Ron Howard came in, and the fact that we've heard so many things announced that never came about. Rian Johnson, his trilogy never came about. There was a Boba Fett movie that was in production at one point that never came about. So many projects that never came about. And now we've heard that Simon Canberg, please fall through, is writing a trilogy for the next trilogy. So we'll see if that ever pans out. But when you're announcing all this stuff and nothing comes to fruition, that's on the president. You're obviously not doing a good job of corralling the creatives to get things done. So who knows? But I just hope we start getting better Star Wars movies, because it hasn't been. Hasn't been all hits. We've gotten some really good stuff. We've gotten some mediocre stuff. We've gotten some bad stuff. And we've gotten some really bad stuff.
Acolyte?
Well, I was thinking, I honestly think if I had to choose what to watch between The Rise of Skywalker or The Acolyte, I'd probably watch The Acolyte again before I watch Rise of Skywalker. It was some fan fiction that someone made, and I think Star Wars Theory made into a fan film.
That's interesting. I'll have to check that out sometime.
Yeah, you should. It's really good. And then
but if you say they're starting filming on it, that means that they have a finished script, right? Right.
Well, they're not starting filming yet. It starts filming next year, but the fact that they're fast tracking it and it has a production date and was announced, I feel like that is a good sign that things are like they have a script. It'll probably get reworked a little bit, but they're ready to film. They're probably ready to go into pre-production because if it's coming out in 2027, we know The Mandalorian and Grogu finished filming in 2025, so 2 years ahead of time. Or finished filming in 2025, a year ahead of time, but started filming in 2024. Almost 2 years ahead, well, a year and a half. So if it's coming out in May, it's going to start filming later this year. So I think that's a good sign that they got something in place they feel like is going to be good, and they can start filming. So sounds like a positive to me. And then the final...
I just feel like with Star Wars, if they're done filming a year before it comes out, they got a lot of special effects to throw in.
Well, they always do. You know, these movies has some practical, but a lot of CGI and stuff. So if they're already got a release date and think they can make it, that means they're ready to go. Hopefully. You never
Let's
know.
hope, yeah.
You never know with Lucasfilm. But I was pretty shocked. I had heard nothing of Starfighter. You know, there had been rumors that the Sean Levy movie was coming out or whatever, but we hadn't heard the title or anything until this hit. And, you know, we didn't hear anything. I didn't, at least. And normally when I'm checking online and all that other stuff, you hear something. I heard nothing about Maul, Shadow Lord. And they already have a trailer for it. So that's
complete
awesome.
shock.
Yep.
Yeah, that was well hidden.
And let's see, Kevin Davis says, Lucasfilm's still going to move forward with Kathleen Kennedy's projects. Yeah, I mean, I assume so. She's still the president. There doesn't sound like there's any plans to get rid of her. It does sound like she has talked about retirement at some point. I don't know how old she is, but I know, speaking for myself, I cannot wait to retire. But that's probably a little further down the road than Kathleen Kennedy. But it's all good. It's all good, man. And then the final thing we kind of got at Star Wars Celebration was the video game, Star Wars Zero Company, which takes place during the Clone Wars. I don't know if you watched the trailer, Dave, but
I didn't.
It kind of talks about, what people know about the Clone Wars is the planetary things and the bigger battles. These are the smaller things and the secret missions and the stuff like that. And I was like, all right,
that's interesting.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah. They got me hooked. I will be buying that game when it comes out, which is 2026 too. And it's, it's Respawn. It's a tactical, turn-based, kind of like Midnight Suns. And it's during the Clone Wars. So I'm fired up. A lot of people said it's like XCOM. I've never played XCOM, but I've read a lot of good things about it. So let's hope this is a good video game. Not that Star Wars has done bad at video games, because Star Wars Jedi Survivor was great. Jedi Order was great. Outlaws. I haven't played Outlaws yet, but I know some DLC was announced that's coming May 15th. So at some point I'm going to have to play. I own it. I just haven't played it yet. There's a lot of things going on. When you're an adult that has kids, you don't find all the time in the world to play video games. But I will definitely find time for Star Wars Zero Company.
You ever wonder why, like, all the series, all the games, well, most of them anyway, seem to happen before or after the original trilogy? They never happened like during, for the most part.
Yeah, there was Shadows of the Empire, which took place after The Empire Strikes Back, I think. That was a fun game, but no longer canon.
But yeah, but most of them happened
right.
They seem to happen before. Is that just untouchable? Or, I think there's plenty they can do Andor type stuff in that area.
See, I wouldn't think it's untouchable, because Marvel Comics has a bunch of series that took place after A New Hope, after Empire Strikes Back, and now they're going to start getting into post Return of the Jedi. So I would assume it's not untouchable. Maybe they just are weird about doing any games during that time. They don't want to ruin anything. But
they haven't really that thoroughly, but
no, you're right. I mean, they got to understand they can enhance the original trilogy, a lot like Revenge of the Sith was enhanced with the Clone Wars, and
Yep.
Andor is enhancing Rogue One and A New Hope, which I don't know if you've read have you seen any of the reviews for this for Andor season 2?
I am trying to stay away from all that. I know it's just going to be excellent.
I have not read any spoilers. Like, I don't know I make sure it's like, here's our spoiler-free review, or social thing, and everyone is like, tremendous. And then one of the things that one of them said is it enhances the original trilogy. It makes Rogue One better. And I was like, oh, I knew that, but it's so happy to hear someone else say it, because, and they're even saying that season 2 is better than season 1.
That's a big mountain to climb.
It is. But if it's true, wow, we are in for an absolute treat.
Absolute.
So yeah, we'll be and of course, so many people at Star Wars Celebration saw the entirety of season 2 already. A lot of some YouTube
Fair.
The what?
Not fair.
No. Lucasfilm, please. I know we're not big yet, but we will be. So why don't you get on the bandwagon now? Start sending us the screeners. We'd be more than happy to give our opinions on your shows early, please. We would feel nice. We love you, Dave Filoni. Please make it so. But all of the people who saw the entire season were all very impressed. And whenever they do that, like, a lot of people saw the entirety of Daredevil Born Again season 1. Now they're seeing the entirety of Andor season 2. It seems like when they got something good on their hands, they let people watch the whole thing early. Much like Thunderbolts. They've got free fan screenings of Thunderbolts going on in the next couple days, which makes me think, okay, they're pretty confident about this movie. They're going to let people see it for free because they know good word of mouth is going to spread. So I think we're in for
Holy crap, that's only 2 weeks. That's only 2 weeks away. Wow. Time's flying.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun. Mike D, that's me. Come on and get some. Thank you.
Plus, we're going to have like a movie every week with Andor.
Yeah, that's going to be phenomenal. It's crazy that they're releasing 3 episodes at a time for 4 weeks in a row, instead of, like, they've always released a couple episodes at a premiere most of the time. But then it's one a week, and I was ready for that. And then when they're like, well, 4 weeks, 3 episodes a week, it's like, wow, we are getting a movie every week. This is going to be crazy. And it's like 97% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And all of the social media that I saw is just people gushing over how much they loved it.
Are we going to be able to cram a 3-hour movie in between Tuesday and Thursday, or between Monday and Thursday? Well, Tuesday, because that's when it comes out. Tuesday and Thursday every week. Sometimes I have trouble watching a half-hour show in that time.
No.
It's going to be an hour. How long episodes?
They could each be an hour. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen any run times yet, so we may be busy.
We got Ken on here, or Kevin. Sorry.
I don't believe Star Wars fan base is racist. Criticism and attacking writing of the character. I don't think I think some Star Wars fans are probably racist, but I don't think the majority of them are. But I don't know what you're referring to. Criticism and attacking writing of the character. We were bad-mouthing the Acolyte. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
But that had nothing to do with the character. That was a writing on that show.
That was definitely writing. I don't know if you saw, but Manny Jackie, whatever his name is, the guy who played the stranger.
Jacinto.
Yeah, he someone gave him a helmet from the show. They made it for him. He put it on and stuff. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And then of course
Did they know who he was when he had it on?
Are you surprised it's me? No. I knew the second you walked in.
I knew as soon as you walked into your store who you were.
Yeah, that show just did a really bad job of had potential. I want to see, and like we've said many times, I would love to see the continuation of the Darth Plagueis story, just different showrunners. It'd be all right. Not against it.
Kevin says attacking writing of character in TV shows or movies. I still don't understand.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. We were attacking or other people attacking the writing. Everyone, you know what? Everyone has the right to criticize some work. You know, some people go a little overboard. You know, there's people who don't like Andor because they don't think it's Star Wars because it's not space wizards and everything else, but it's still Star Wars. I mean, it's planets. It's
Besides
just,
Star Wars we hadn't seen before,
yeah,
which
it's
is what made it interesting.
agreed. And he put storyline. Yeah. You know, it's fine. I have no problem with people criticizing what they think is bad writing or it's the same. Anytime you put something out there as a creative, other people are going to talk about it. And sometimes I agree with the criticism, sometimes I don't. The Acolyte, I definitely understood the criticism. The people who didn't like Andor, I'm baffled by that. I mean, it was so well written. It was so well acted. It was almost perfect television.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I was just beforehand when we just had the previews, I was not expecting much from the previews. I was just like, yeah, this doesn't look good at all. I was blown away. I think I gave the season 9.9. I mean, it was an amazing show.
you needed that 10 in
Oh,
case season 2 is better.
yeah.
All right. You got anything else tonight, Dave?
No, we got another comment though. Ungame Thunder Dragon 3 says hi.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
How's it going,
No, I don't know.
Ungame Thunder Dragon 3? Thanks for coming out. We were talking a little of The Last of Us, episode 2, talking about all the announcements at Star Wars Celebration. Pretty excited about the leaked trailer for Mandalorian and Grogu. The leaked trailer for Maul. Shadow Lord looked great. We're excited about Starfighter. Hopefully Zero. Oh, what was it called again? Zero Company. I'm like, Zero Operation? No, that's not right. So, just
Zero
talking
Dark
some
30.
things. Did you happen to see? Oh, I saw the episode 2, like wondering what I just watched. Have you seen any of the other episodes of The Last of Us? Or were you kind of blown away by what happened to the characters? Did you like it? Because Dave's not a big fan of it. I am definitely a fan of it. The other fine gentleman who's usually on our little podcast usually enjoys it a lot too. Yeah, oh, she did like it. Or he. I don't know if that's a he or she, but Ungame Thunder Dragon 3 said, yeah, liked it. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. But thanks for coming out. We are getting ready to sign off here, but we appreciate the comments. If you like what you see, you know, you could throw us a sub, like, comment. Well, you already commented. Throw us a like on the video. It greatly helps our little channel, but we're going to find somebody. Oh, I was devastated by episode 2. Also, I'm a girl. Yeah, that was, even though I think everybody knew that Joel's death was coming, it was still pretty tough. Tough
Do
to
you
watch.
relate, Ellie? Or do you feel a connection to one of the characters out there in the chat? Since we got a dialogue going.
Yeah. Definitely want to know what you guys think. That's why we're here.
Joel.
Yeah.
You felt a connection to Joel? Yeah.
And, you know, we were kind of talking earlier that, you know, he was my favorite character. He's why I watched. Pedro Pascal is great in everything he does. It'll be interesting to see how the show goes now after, you know, his character is gone. You know, I'm sure he'll come back for flashbacks and other things, but I mean, they basically killed off Ellie's mentor, so now, she's got to kind of be in control, and we'll see how that goes. I know some people like the character of Ellie, some not so much, but we'll see how it goes. I think we got another 6 episodes in season 2, so still a lot to go. Looking forward to how it all plays out.
It could be developed into a character that I like.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now, Ungame Thunder Dragon 3, have you played the games? Because we have not. Dave and I have not. The third person who's on with us usually has.
Yeah, I was looking at the people that we could raid. But did they answer? Yeah.
So has the storyline so far been pretty similar to the video games? Did you like the video games? You liking the show? What do you think?
Yeah, did they kill? Obviously, we went over this. Did they kill Joel faster in the show than they did in the game? That's another yeah. I don't know if it was your question or my question.
Yeah, we're asking too many questions, but
slow down.
Well,
I didn't know it was going to be a quiz.
Yeah. I didn't know math was going to be involved. But yeah, it looks like Bubble is online.
PG's still on.
Yeah, Terrible Gaming is on, absolutely. Snuck it in. I needed a drink.
Snuck it in. Tiny Valkyr, Flake of Brown.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Well, we did TG last time, and he was on before we started. He might be... Should we do Bubble?
He might be... Yeah, let's do Bubble.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, for those of you on YouTube, like our buddy Unreal Thunder Dragon 3, definitely in the show, yeah. We are going to raid. That is something we do on Twitch, where we send all of our viewers on Twitch to another content creator that we enjoy. There is a way to do it on YouTube, but you have to know prior to going live who's going to be live when you're off to send it to, and it hasn't really clicked with us yet. But if you've stayed here, if you watched us, if you like what you see, we'll be back later this week to review Andor, and then we'll be back next Monday to talk about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. So if you like The Last of Us, join us next Monday for The Last of Us Episode 3. And I think we're going to raid Bubble. And thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. And we hope to see you again. Oops. I always forget if there's 2 L's in Bubble.
There is.
Yep.
All right.
But once again, thanks everybody for coming out. We'll be back talking Andor. We'll be back talking The Last of Us. We'll be back talking Thunderbolts. We talk about all the wonderful nerdy stuff. We talk about some video games. We sometimes play games online, but we haven't done it in a while. But maybe when Zero Company comes out, maybe we'll play The Last of Us parts 1 and 2 after the show's over. We'll have to see. But we're going to raid Bubble. Thanks everybody for coming out, and we will see you all soon.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.